Hi, it's David from GV London, and today we're going to be looking at my track day that I done yesterday at Rockingham Speedway with Usmaan from GTS-RS.
Hello.
So it was quite a good track day that we done yesterday. It was an evening track day. It was only a couple of hours that we were there, but we did manage to get quite a few laps in that time. Not as many as we would have probably liked, but nevertheless, very good anyway, especially given that I'm going to be racing at Rockingham National Circuit in the next couple of weeks with the Caterham Academy. And this was pretty much the only time I could have gone to have some experience on the track. So we raced on the International Long Circuit yesterday, which basically has two chicanes. But when I'm going to be doing the sprint with the Caterham Academy, it's going to be on the national circuit. So how do the circuits differ?
So I think the International Long Circuit is what they use for, I think, GT3, GT4, in British GT basically, so it's the long circuit. The national circuit is the infield section, so you go through Tarzan, which is that tight right-hander, and then instead of going left back onto the banking, which is part of the main circuit, you turn right and you use more of the infield. So I think it's a little bit more of a difficult circuit, a bit more technical than the International Long, but nevertheless it was good to get a feel of what the car's like on that circuit with that asphalt, with the grip levels that you had. So I think it was still quite valuable, and you still got additional track time, so it's quite good.
So just to recap, I've not really had many track days. So this is probably my fourth track day that I'm doing, and one of the new things that I've never experienced before was the banking. That was quite different, you know, coming up onto a different angle, and like you mentioned to me on the track that, hey, just be careful if you're coming at speed on that. Make sure you're ready to catch it if it does go. Is that right?
I can show you a video of someone on YouTube who done exactly what I described. So they came off the last corner, basically the chicane, got into the banking, got into the power really early, and they were all crossed up. So it was, but you done absolutely fine. It's different. Rockingham is unique because there's very few circuits that have that feature. That have a long sweeping sort of banking corner, and then you've got a technical section.
It's almost like the Indy circuits from America, right?
Exactly the same kind of feeling. So you've got a big wall on the outside.
Which is bloody scary, man. That I mean, so far that's probably been the scariest a time on track where you're flat out and you're just like, you make one slight mistake and you're going into that wall.
It's a strange sensation because the car's loading up, like we were talking about yesterday. You're introducing lateral load into the car, and you're looking at the wall on the outside and thinking, if I keep going and I'm going to go up high, I'm going to end up on the wall on the exit. But it's kind of like you have to get used to it. You get used to that feeling. And then once you've got used to it, you realise that there's actually quite a lot of grip. The banking helps you turn more.
Really? So out of turn one, you're coming out of the apex and you're kind of aiming towards the wall, right?
Pretty much, Once you've hugged that white line and then you bring the car up, and you're like, whoa, what was it?
You're trying to aim so that you can come in line with the wall and getting ready for the second corner, which is a hairpin corner, right?
Slow speed sort of second gear.
Left-hander. And so that was an interesting corner, the second corner, because you didn't want me to take the first apex, miss the first apex, and then come tight onto the next one, right?
The idea was to get a better exit. So if you're tight to the first one, then your exit speed is going to be a little bit less. So there are a few lines you can take into that corner. There's, I think the more grip you got, the more tighter you can be. But because this car's not really got a huge amount of grip, the better, or maybe the faster line to take is missing that first apex and driving out. And even on my reference lap and your lap, we both braked incredibly early.
Yeah.
Because obviously we didn't do many laps.
There's one instance where I braked really late.
Oh yeah, you were going all the way around the edge. That was funny. You just literally David went straight on, and he decided.
Yeah, I was trying to drive it out of the track.
It seemed that way, and I was thinking, where are you going?
Yeah. No. Well, the justification for that is the fact that I had some interference in the headphones that I had plugged in.
Oh, this is the racing driver book of excuses.
Yeah.
It's all in here.
It sounded like a screaming girl.
It wasn't me.
Yeah. But yeah, I had to start. Well, no, okay.
That's funny.
No more excuses. So off that, we come into two rights, right?
Yeah. So
which are approached at, and this is my problem. Like what we'll see from the footage, is that, and I've just done a sprint in Aintree with the Caterham Academy where I didn't do too well, and one of the biggest problems was, I mean, had I just been 2 seconds faster around the track, I probably would have come in the top quartile, but because I wasn't going as quick as I should be through the corners, I didn't do too well. I get it. It's all part of my development.
Yeah.
But what did you see out of my driving at Rockingham, and especially these two corners, because they were quite pivotal, right?
Yeah. I think just looking at your performance from the last few track days that we've done, you're improving, and that's the main thing for me. I think each time you go out there, you can see that there's areas of your driving that you're cleaning up. So whereas perhaps at Silverstone we're still quite unstable into the corner, now you're doing that subconsciously. You're not thinking about what the car's doing in the braking zone. Now you're just doing it automatically. Now we're looking at sort of increasing your mid-corner speed. So I'm looking at it more of a point of you're continually improving, and each time you get in the car there's always something that we improve on. So I see it as a matter of time before you're on the pace.
Yeah.
It might take perhaps longer than we think, but
Yeah.
it's happening. It's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So
no, I definitely. I mean, I was even saying it to the staff earlier on today. Having you speaking into my ears while we're doing it for the first 3 or 4 laps is so helpful, and after that it's kind of like, okay, you don't even need to say anything.
Exactly.
Like those times where I couldn't even hear you anyway.
I remember that.
Okay, we're using some makeshift walkie-talkie system,
State of the
but
art.
after say about 3 or 4 laps of you telling me what to do, afterwards it's just like, okay, look, stop talking, I can do this now. And then it's those minor tweaks, and actually just becoming a little bit braver, I think, is one thing. Obviously this is where it's good that I'm getting tuition, in that I want to be brave, but you can't just suddenly be brave out of nowhere. You have to build up to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to be good with the core fundamentals before you actually can start putting your foot down and taking those chances, right?
Exactly. Which I think you're doing that. You're developing a good base drive model. So you can then, you're using that, and then you can build on from there. So we're seeing in some of the quick corners, when we look at the data now, sort of mid corner speed you're losing about 10-15 k's, but once the fundamentals are there of what you're doing with the brakes and your turning point, it's all there. It's just a matter of then trying to not lose that speed through the middle. So it's happening. It's we're getting there.
Yeah. So the way that we analysed it yesterday, just after the session, was that say I'm reducing my speed into the middle of the corner, right, and where you're quickly moving back onto the throttle and maintaining that speed, so i.e. you're keeping that speed constant,
Yeah.
I'm still letting it go further down.
Yeah.
And then I'm losing power, and I'm finding it hard to find that power straight out of the apex. And was that right?
Yeah, so like our turning points and the speed at which you entered the corner was not far off. I think you were probably less than 10% off in that regard. But what happens is we're in the middle of the corner, you want the car a bit more stable and you want to maintain that speed, so we call it minimum apex speed. So that might be 75, whatever, 80, whatever number it is. You hold that speed and then you start re-accelerating out of the corner once you're through the sort of biggest angle. What was happening with you yesterday is you weren't coming off the brake. So you'd get on the brake, carry that brake into the apex of the corner, but keep it on. So you'd keep decelerating to the apex. Whereas at that point you should have come off the brake and kept a steady throttle.
Prior to the apex or on the apex?
It depends, but yeah, as a rule, on the apex basically. So that's your sharpest angle on the corner.
That's your sharpest angle, and
Yeah.
that's where you should hit the minimum apex speed.
Yeah.
And then from that point you shouldn't let it dip any lower, and keep that speed constant.
Yeah,
so
so-
you feel it's right.
Exactly, that would be your maximum steering angle.
Yeah.
And then, so the way traditionally it's taught is your steering angle and your throttle input is directly proportional.
Oh,
so
okay. So as you're releasing it,
yeah, as
you
you're
should be
feeding in the throttle, yeah. So as you're releasing the load on the steering and opening up the car is how we describe it. Then you can feed in the power. So obviously with a low powered car you can be a little bit more aggressive and a bit more binary, I guess, with your application, but there's still a level of finesse and sort of
meaning that with a low powered car, as you're releasing it, you can actually just bang.
you can be a little bit more aggressive. It's still not as straightforward as that.
Yeah.
So you'll end up with just either a really horrible understeer or a big snap oversteer moment. But, with a really high powered car you can cause the rear tyres to slip instantly, especially with loaded up like that, because the tyre can't give you any more grip to accelerate. It's already using maximum grip laterally. So as soon as you introduce power into the wheel, it's going to give up and you're going to exceed the grip limit. So you have to give it the ability to accelerate, and by doing that you transfer the load, you unwind the steering wheel.
Lovely.
So yeah, so you were doing that was mainly where we were losing most of our time. So not maintaining the high minimum apex speed.
After the first two rides, then we move into a chicane, right?
Yeah, two rights, and then you've got the first series of left-right chicanes. Which is you weren't familiar with. You watch the international layout. You can put that on the screen right now if you want. Which doesn't have this second chicane. So you go through this left-hander and it's a sweeping left all the way around. Towards Tarzan. So
I decided the night before that we were going to go to Rockingham, I called up Uz. I was like, Uz, can you make some time? He's like, okay, fine.
Let's go.
But that night before, I had to start thinking about, watch some YouTube videos, try and learn the track, because I've seen how much better it is if you actually learn the track before you go. I went on to what's the game called again? Project Cars, and it didn't have it. It didn't have Rockingham on it. So it was all about looking at YouTube, watching some videos. And then I decided that I need to start mapping it out. So I learned the track and I just kept on drawing it. So
Pablo Picasso.
But I made the mistake of thinking that it's just the international circuit. So it was actually the international long, which introduced another chicane into the whole circuit, and it was like, oh damn, I didn't realise this was going to happen, right? So that was a bit of a sticky point for me. But
we had a few moments through there, I think, because you were unfamiliar with exactly where you were. So especially after that right.
Oh yeah, I did scare you at one point, didn't I?
Yes, you did. I didn't think you were going into the wall then. I was like, oh my god.
Well, I lifted off the throttle too quickly, didn't I?
Massive weight transfer and whoa.
Yeah, no, that's scary.
Okay,
no, sorry about that. Okay, and then we've got two lefts. which are quite standard. Not we missed one apex on the next left, and then we take the second apex.
Yes, kind of similar to turn 1.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got a lot of grip, you can take that tighter line.
Turn 2.
Turn 2.
Yeah.
My turn 1 because I don't count the banking as a
You don't count. Okay. I do.
I know. Fair enough. So yeah, similar in that regard. So you're trying to get the fastest exit possible. So you sacrifice your turn in for the first one.
Yeah, fine. And we stick to the right, then we take a left into is it Tarzan? Is that
that's
right?
That's the right hand is the Tarzan. So this.
This corner is what one? Okay, yeah. Anyway,
it's
fine.
A quick for third gear left hander.
Yeah, third gear. And then we get into Tarzan, which is quite an interesting one. It's quite a weird corner, right?
Yeah, but you've done it really well. Actually, you were as I think on your quickest lap, very similar in pace. So it was good.
So I beat you on that corner
by 1 kilometre. You can have that. I'll give it to you.
But the steering lock on that is like really, it's a really, it's almost like full lock. In second gear, right, at the turning point.
It's funny that I would describe that as probably the most difficult corner on the track.
No way.
Yeah, and you've done it with ease.
Oh, really? I thought it was really easy. No, saying that. That's the only, and the best thing is that is the only corner that. Well, is it the only corner that's going to be the same in the national layout?
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah,
it will be. That features on the national, so
it's
kind of good that you've nailed that.
Yeah,
your braking was good. Heel and toe was clean.
Yeah.
And there was a few times where you got on the throttle quite early.
Yeah.
And the car sort of ran wide. You saw that one.
Yeah.
You were just understeer wide.
Yeah.
And you're ending up in the secondary pit lane almost.
Yeah.
But you have to just be patient and just wait for the right moment to feed in the power.
Yeah. So. Okay. And then we come on to a chicane which has like these big sausage curbs that you're gonna, if you go over, could end up ruining your car in a second. But
or your back. I think your back would give way before the car did.
Oh really?
Yeah. I mean, I've been over those curbs and it's not nice.
Oh damn.
It's not nice.
Yeah. And then straight back onto the banking, and this was that's the point where you need to be careful, where you don't just and this is what I was asking you. So what you're telling me, do I not put my foot down straight out of the chicane, or do I? But and you're just like, look, feel it. Just all I'm saying is just be careful, because the cars do have a tendency to give.
It's the awareness, then okay, at this point, as you're coming onto the banking, because you're in second gear and you're like high revs in second gear, so it's easier to spin up the rear wheels. So you can either short shift there, which we didn't really do because we just went up the banking and then shifted to third a little bit higher.
What do you mean by short shift?
Short shift meaning instead of letting the revs rise all the way to the top of second gear, you shift a little earlier, so you've got more traction, so you can stay full power, but it's less likely to spin up.
I never knew that.
Okay, cool. There's some circuits where we can short shift. For example, Silverstone. If you remember the corner before where you got the arena building, that right hander, there's a left and then a right. There you can short shift to third, and that can help you with traction.
Cool. Now, I actually really enjoyed Rockingham. I thought it was a lovely circuit. Like it's like you were saying about the asphalt. The car slides around a little bit more. Yeah. But actually, I found that quite fun. In comparison to Silverstone, it wasn't really like that.
Silverstone was really high grip.
Yeah,
so
very high grip.
Resurfaced it. I think it was a hotter day as well. I think it was a little cooler when we went out of Rockingham, which has an effect.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
In what sense?
Ambient temperature. So the hotter the track, the more likely it is. You basically get more grip from the tyre.
Okay.
So with the cooler circuit, it takes longer for the tyres to get to their desired temperature. So the car is likely to slide around a lot more.
Actually, one thing I never asked you about the Sprint. So in Aintree, you've got this you've got say about 15 meters or 20 meters tyre warming zone, and you're literally supposed to wheel spin
Yeah.
and then just brake suddenly so that before your sprint you can go out with your tyres warm.
How did that go?
Pretty crap.
I never saw the footage of that. You didn't send that to me.
I wasn't getting the wheels to spin enough.
Okay,
Like,
you're probably just not making the revs right enough and dumping the clutch.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just rev it to the line,
Yeah.
dump the clutch, and it will spin.
Well, actually, my fastest lap, in my fastest lap at Aintree, I didn't let the revs rise past 3,500 revs.
But did you get a good launch?
That was my best one.
Oh, okay.
So it's a bit of a funny one because my other ones I was letting it rise to maybe 5.5, and it was, I guess it was just the back was going at the start.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe that's something that we need to work.
Yeah, we can time your launches and not sure what your reaction was to the lights as well, because on these sprints that's very important.
No, so the way that I worked in Aintree was once the light goes green, you can go at your own time.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're not reacting to the lights. Okay.
No.
That's good.
Yeah, so basic. Cool. So all in all, I thought it was a really good day, even though we didn't get that much time. I've learned a new circuit, and again, even though I'm not going to be using this specific circuit in the academy, I'm going to be using one of the corners, which is good, the Tarzan corner, right? And but I've now learned a track that in the future I definitely want to go and use with like a supercar.
Absolutely.
I think that would be absolutely amazing, trying to take a supercar on there, or maybe even just go again with the Caterham. It's a lot of fun.
Good fun track. I mean, the experience it's more track experience.
Yeah.
So wherever it is, it happened to be Rockingham International, it's all good, but it's part of your learning now. The more track time you get, the better it's becoming. So
yeah,
really good.
Cool. Well, thank you for yesterday.
No problem.
And thanks for analysing this stuff with me today as well.
Fantastic.
We're going to be doing more track days in the future. I'm probably going to do Bedford in 10 days time, so I'll have more footage for you guys.